Well, good morning. I'm Jeff Coleman.
And I'm Deborah Pinkerton. Welcome to Morning Light. We are praying for protection and comfort for those in the path of Hurricane Melissa. The powerful Category 5 storm is expected to make landfall in Jamaica today. The storm is also expected to hit Cuba and the Bahamas. It's bringing catastrophic winds and life-threatening flash flooding. We ask you to pray for those who are sheltering in place.
You know, there are many, many Christians God has put in place there to bring that comfort that we're praying for. Well, there's a running debate in America about what role government should play versus churches and private charities. With no end in sight for the government shutdown, that debate may no longer be a theoretical one. I'm going to ask the Morning Light panel if churches, Christian churches and charities are ready to mobilize, to step into the role government has played for so many years. We're calling the question.
Yeah, maybe a good answer. But first, here's a preview of what's coming up later in the show. Living a Christian life can be tough, but you can have fun in your daily walk. That is the goal of the Christian community theater group, the Promise Players. We will share details about their upcoming show.
They do look like they have a lot of fun, Deborah. Well, if you've been crossing off the days on the calendar, Saturday marks 1 month since the federal government shutdown and the inevitability of Republicans, or inability rather, of Republicans and Democrats to reach a compromise. It's pretty obvious. And Pennsylvania is now, get this, 120 days past the legal deadline for passing a state spending plan. So can lawmakers on both the federal and state levels put aside ego and personal agendas to end the stalemate? So far, the answer has been no, but many in our audience are praying for that.
That is praying for an end for sure. Well, without a federal budget being passed, several programs may run out of funding. Now, they include SNAP, WIC, and also Head Start. Over the last 50 years, there have been 22 federal shutdowns, the longest lasting 35 days in 2019. While the true impact is unknown, the challenges may be significant for some families.
It's going to be a big question. Thanksgiving is coming up, hence the big
right.
picture of the turkeys behind you. But that's a question.
We need to get it passed.
Fix it by then?
We hope.
It's a good goal. For decades, conservatives and progressives have debated the role the private sector, specifically churches and faith-based nonprofits, should play in moments of economic trial and uncertainty. Many conservatives have felt churches and volunteer-based organizations should always be in the lead. Now, progressives come back and often express the need for a larger, centralized role for government. And like the Great Depression in the 1930s, this moment, Deborah, is likely to test the readiness and willingness of Christians to meet the needs of the moment, to reach out to their neighbors. We'll ask the Morning Light panel about the state of American readiness for churches, and we're delighted to have a new face on the panel, Paul Beardmore, a Christian educator and school leader. Glad to have you here this morning.
It's good to be here.
It's going to be fun. It's going to be fun. Cynthia, good to have you back.
Thank you. Good morning.
You're breaking your record. You continue to our most viewed guest here, most frequent guest. Alex, you're right behind. Good to have you here. This moment, every time we come to a moment like this, I remember in college, one of the running debates was the role of government. I went to Liberty University, so we were generally on the side of saying churches, private organizations, private charities, they should be doing the work, not the government. Stop raising our taxes and give it back to us. So we're in a moment, Paul, where that theory is being tested, where you have an enormous amount of uncertainty over people's SNAP benefits, whether or not they're going to be able to eat, go to the doctor, some basic things, because the safety net is being tested. Is the American church ready to absorb all of those people if they show up at our doors in the next few weeks and months?
Well, that's a tough one. I think the short answer is probably no, but I think we need to fundamentally think about why the answer is no, and the church needs to be ready, more ready than we have been. You know, society is starting to see the limits of government in a 28-day shutdown, and it really should prompt bigger questions like, okay, if we're talking about all this funding, well, what is the limit of government to solve society's basic problems? We talk all about money, but can money solve society's basic problems? And I think that's where the church especially needs to step in and be ready to answer more even fundamental questions of what is society's basic problem, we have the answer for that. And we need to be engaging with folks that come into our doors with that answer.
So we're kind of, the step back moment is to say, all right, let's just take a minute, take a deep breath and think about who does what here and who does it better. President Bush, back in the early 2000s, had this term compassionate conservatism, and his father talked about this, the 1,000 points of light, this idea that that the private sector, volunteers, people that were motivated by their faith should be welcomed into the public square to help solve some of these problems. We have still, though, practically, in effect, rejected that idea, and we still continue to look to government for that. What about your church? What about the congregations in the area that you live? Do you think that if Sunday morning a line shows up at the door, we need help, government isn't helping, are you ready to help? Do you think our instincts will kick in?
Oh, I absolutely think so.
Okay.
You know, what are we told? We're told that there's one person that we need to go to for provision. So I think in prayer, that's what we need to make sure, that we pray that our good Lord above will take care of what exactly we need. And that is through our churches.
Right.
I really do believe that. I know at our church and some of our local churches have outreaches that right now people don't necessarily know about. That when they're coming in the doors, they're being told, what about this? How can we help you? We have this available to you. I think the other piece of this puzzle is that people are walking in the doors to churches that may not have ever walked in the doors before.
It seems to be happening a lot.
So that's a really great place to be in a not great situation that we're in, to be welcoming to the people that are walking indoors, not only to say, please come back, we want you to be part of us, but we also want to provide for your needs, what you need right now.
So opportunity.
So,
you know, Great Depression, churches were these kind of lighthouses, stations, along with people's homes. People's private homes became stops along the railroad. The hobos, you know, would be able to knock on. President Reagan's mom, you know, famously tells a story, but her home was one of those stations for the wayfaring. Tell me, though, about our congregations, our churches. Do you sense that pastors are going to be able to know what to do? Because there has been a divide generally, conservative churches, progressive churches. One side says, hey, the primary job is opening the scriptures, interpreting the text properly. We're not a social agency.
Sure.
Where's that balance there?
Yeah, and that's part of the problem, is that as government has grown and taken on so many of these functions, the church has largely started to cede its role.
Right.
And not just the church, but the family as well. The Apostle Paul in 1 Timothy explains that has to happen. Those charitable provisions need to be given in the context of the family, the extended family, the household, before the church foots the bill, and then government is kind of that last social safety net, right? So everything has been disordered and broken down at that level. I do think what's going to break down is churches that have built themselves on this entertainment model. And it's not just, you know, we're here to preach the word, but it's also just sometimes this mentality of we're here to draw the biggest crowd possible. We're here to help people feel good. We want to help them, you know, discover Jesus. And there's a lot of good motives behind that, but it does lead to a very shallow picture of what the church is supposed to be. And the church fundamentally has to be caring for not only the world's poor, but starting with its own poor. You know, Galatians 6, do good to all, especially to those who are of the household of faith. True religion, visiting orphans and widows in their distress. And so the church isn't meeting the needs within the congregation first. It's not going to be in a position to meet anyone else's
either. That's a very specific list in Galatians there.
Yeah.
So your young people, give us a little bit of the challenge to this next generation. You're watching them every day in your school. How do you get them to not think about church as the consumer place? When they start having children, they're looking for the place with the best nursery, the best lighting, the best band, the best sound, the best, the most comfortable environment, the best parking. But to begin to see their church as the place where they invest their giving to bless the world and the neighborhood around them.
Yeah, well, I think you have to start very young in showing them what kind of the street level looks like, and pushing them out to feel and smell and be with those who are vulnerable and hurting. And it's okay.
Missions trip?
Absolutely,
Yeah.
or in our own cities and towns. We do service projects in our school starting from kindergarten on. We have day of service, get out into the world, get your hands dirty, talk to these people, and understand that the world's a lot bigger place than even, four walls of a church building. And you have to get out and meet these people at a very young age to recognize the world is not about yourself, but the joy of giving is there from a very early age that they can impact.
It's not about you. Imagine that. Yeah. So to some people, Cynthia, 30 seconds or so, this sounds very dangerous, letting your kids go to a part of the city or a part of the community. Writing a check is a little easier, making an online donation, but sending your kids. What do you say to that?
Well, it is hard. I mean, there's, the realistic view is we spend our lives kind of as finger pointers going, well, there they are, wanting a handout.
Right.
Versus we're kind of in a place right now that really all of society, people of all races and creeds and orphans and widows, all could be in need if this continues. The people that really have decent salaries, as well as the ones that are minimum wage, are all being affected by it. So what is our job as neighbors? Do we open our homes? Do we open our churches? Yeah, I mean, the answer is yes.
So much bigger at this moment than
Absolutely.
the political arguments.
No doubt.
The challenge then to a believer who's hearing this morning and wondering, okay, all right, what is my next step to do? I feel guilty. I feel like I need to be doing something, but that's not really what we're going for this morning.
No, we don't want guilt obedience. We want obedience motivated by gratitude for the grace of God. And so the order that the New Testament gives us is, first of all, if a man shouldn't work, neither should he eat, right? So certainly work hard, provide for your family. If a man doesn't provide for the members of his own household, Paul says he's worse than an unbeliever. Care for your extended family, care for your church community. So certainly the church should make sure that there are no one suffering materially within the church. That's what a biblical deacon ministry is for. And then the overflow of all of that shouldn't just be loving our own, but it should also be then, once we've done those first things, to look out into the community and into the world and see what other needs has the Lord positioned us to meet so that we can be making disciples of all the nations, doing what our Lord's called us to do.
And we can do both. We can take care of our families and we can take care of our neighbors.
It's not one or the other.
Yeah. Friends, thank you. This is hopeful. We've got long, I think, an interesting fall and winter ahead. Yeah. Well, coming up on Morning Light, living a faith-filled life can be a struggle, but you can still have fun in the process. We'll share details about a Christian theater group sharing their talents and challenges on the stage up next. You're watching Morning Light right here on Lighthouse TV.
Welcome back. The Promise Players are a group of Christians who get together to share their God-given talents. The goal, promote Christ and challenge us, as well as the audience, to include him in our lives every day. Joining me is Tim Strawser, co-director and vice president with the Promise Players. Thanks for being with us.
Thank you for having us.
So tell us more about the Promise Players.
Well, the Promise Players is a non-denominational community Christian theater, and we are here to promote Christ. And we're giving ourselves and the audience a challenge to keep God in the center of their daily lives. And so we do that by through the plays, by showing reality in plays. Yeah.
So tell us about some of the productions that you have done.
We've had, it's been over 30 years that we've been performing, and so we've done many different shows, but there have been two that kind of float to the top that we have done multiple times, about 4 times each. One is called Sarah May and Her Kinfolk, and it's based in the 1930s of North Carolina, and it's a family reunion and just singing a lot of old-time gospel songs and really lifting up. There's an older gentleman that's in his 90s that ends up coming to know Christ in the end. And so it's just it's a beautiful family performance. The other one is called Don't Kick the Turkeys. And
Love that title.
Yeah, it's a great play. We have people asking, "Are you going to do Don't Kick the Turkeys again?" And we've done it 4 times now over the years. And it's just a church life, really. And there's a number of very unique individuals, characters, and kind of within all of our churches, we're all different personalities and how we get along. And it's kind of that type of kind of very similar to the show we're doing this time.
Talk to us about how did the Promise Players get its start? You said it'd been around for 30
years, yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a long time.
Yeah, it is a long time. And we're blessed that Doreen Creighton, who was our executive artistic director, retired from us in 2022. And back in 1995, she had a vision that she felt like we need a nice Christian community theater that families can come and feel confident that the content they're going to see is something that's wholesome, not immoral, that kind of thing. However, with saying that, we do want to still address struggles, issues that happen within our lives, and so we use the perspective with faith and hope to show people that, through the love of Jesus Christ and getting to know Him, that you can be forgiven, you can move on in life, and it's a great organization.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
So what I found very interesting when we were talking earlier is what you do with the proceeds from this.
That's great. We every performance we decide on a theme within the play that we can connect to a ministry or charity within the Lancaster County area or beyond, and typically we find that ministry, and when the proceeds from our plays we give to that ministry. And that has been one of the biggest blessings of being a part of this organization, because of giving to different nonprofits that usually are, in a lot of cases, are smaller. And so giving $10,000 or $12,000 to them can be a good boost to their budget.
Yeah, so this ministry is making a huge difference on so many different levels.
I think so. Yeah, definitely. It's a very fun time together as actors and crew. We get very close. Right now, we're getting into that last couple weeks, and that's when we get very, very close. It's just a really, really nice community.
Well, we are going to be talking about the production that you are working on right now, but we do need to take a break.
Okay.
But you'll be with us for our next segment.
Thank you.
Coming up next on Morning Light, we will share details about the Promise Players' latest production, Casting Swine Before Pearls. Learn how you can get tickets. That's next. A man leaves his fortune to a small rural church, but there's a caveat. They must care for his 3 prized hogs. Yes, you heard that right. That is the premise of the Promise Players' latest production, Casting Swine Before Pearls. Joining me once again is Tim Strawser, along with actor Lanny Millette. Thanks so much. Tim, tell us about this year's production.
Well, as you indicated, it is where a church that's called Day Spring Christian Church finds out that they are a recent parishioner that has passed away has willed them his entire estate, and it's worth $6 million. Wow. But the caveat is that they must take care of his 3 prized hogs. And from there, it just bedlam starts happening, because we have a character, her name is Pearl June Carbuckle, which that name just alone gives you a vision. But she is very wealthy in the church and has really feels that she is the most important person in the church and should be told everything that happens, and that she should make the decisions for the church and that kind of thing. And then not to mention that she's not very nice. So they are trying to, some things are happening where a senator is going to come visit for possibly giving an award to the church. and she's part of that, and she thinks that's the best thing ever to have this civic award. But we're trying to keep her somewhere else in the church because these hogs are showing up at the church, and then it gets really crazy after that.
Lanny, tell us about your character.
Well, I play Quentin Carbuncle, who would be Pearl June's husband. Okay. And given that Pearl June is a little nasty and kind of henpecked, put down, really a nice guy, but not allowed to really show it very much. And actually, I've just come from the ophthalmologist. And remember when you get those dilating drops in your eyes, it's really hard to see.
Can't see.
So I'm still in that stage where I'm feeling around trying to find Pearl June because she left me in the car and it was really hot. And so I'm a little clumsy in the play. Well, a little slapstick.
Yeah.
Certainly a lot of laughs. Tell us about when the play is running, where you can go.
It's November 6th through the 9th and November 10th through the 13th. And
16th.
Did I have that wrong? Oh, my word. Yeah, thank you. 6th through the 9th, 13th through the 16th. And it is at the Lampeter Church of the Brethren at 1900 Lampeter Road, Lancaster, Pennsylvania. And the performances are on Thursday and Friday nights at 7:30, and then Saturdays is a matinee at 2:30 and 7:30, and then Sundays are a matinee at 2:30.
Lanny, you're using your talents to spread the gospel. Mm-hmm. Why?
Well, because that's what God calls us to do. Whatever he's given us, we need to use for him. That's the bottom line. And that's true. And I work in nonprofit ministry. Outside of that, I use it there, and I use it here. And I love to act. It's just fun. Yeah.
What do you hope the audience takes away when they leave after watching this play?
Well, the obvious theme is that we need to put relationships ahead of wealth. Mm-hmm. In my character, because I have been put down and haven't had the opportunity to really shine, I think kindness, that it's important to treat each other with kindness. And definitely. What happens here is because there's two Pearl Junes, one of them's nice, one of them's not so nice. And so the different interactions with Quentin, how I respond to one or the other, I think is a theme that comes through subtly.
And we'll see how the character changes throughout the play. Tim, what do you want the audience to take away?
I think just the going out into the community. So the church is very focused internally, particularly with Pearl June. It's all about her church and what is her church getting out of life, really. But in the end, it's to really talk about we should be thinking about the community outside. They talk about children using their playground. The playground hasn't been used since, they don't know when. And reaching out to the community and saying, hey, you can use our playground, or you can come and be able to be fed, or, those kind of things. That's the crux of it. Yeah.
Thinking about others and reaching out to our neighbors.
Right.
In time of need.
Yeah.
Thank you both for being with us this morning.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
And for more information about the Promise Players or to purchase tickets for Casting Swine Before Pearls, check out promiseplayers.org. Stay with us. We are back right after the break. Welcome back. Coming up tomorrow on Morning Light, we will wrap up our Faith Journey series with one of our Morning Light panelists, Pastor David Smith. Plus, we will share details about his new show, Above the Noise, right here on Lighthouse TV. And that's a look at what's coming up tomorrow on Morning Light. Now, Jeff, your closing thoughts.
David has such an encouraging story, so they'll not want to miss that. Well, the New Testament church was marked by one overarching characteristic: love. But is this what we, the followers of Jesus, are known for today in 2025? When a skeptic or God-denying critic walks into the doors of a church, what is the smell? What is the sound? What is the quality of the welcome we extend? What is our conversation with them? Are we welcoming? Are we open? Is there food? Is there something to drink? And not just on Sundays. Look, I learned something recently about my Sikh neighbors, those who practice a religion from the 15th century, the Punjab region between India and Pakistan. A Sikh temple called a Gurdwara is open for 3 free meals a day. Get this, for anyone passing through, free of charge. There's even a guest house for overnight stays. If you're passing through the province, you can always find a place to stay and food to eat. No questions asked. Sikhs have in many ways mastered the art of hospitality, of openness. That picture really challenged me, reminding me that Christians, long before the arrival of newer faiths, were marked by love and hospitality that we showed to strangers. It was that risky, self-sacrificing, Christ-honoring hospitality which defied human explanation. Yes, they will know we are Christians by our love. So in this moment of political and economic uncertainty, when many of our neighbors are looking to us for help, it is the perfect time to reclaim the mantle of hospitality. For Deborah and the entire Morning Light team, I'm Jeff Kocman. Thanks for watching today. Now, make it a point to check on your neighbors, and let's meet back here again tomorrow morning.